Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Stories That Inspire Us. Today's story, of course, is inspiring. And when you inspire somebody through your story, that's where you really can grasp the real depth of somebody's story and how it affects others, but how you can inspire others. I want to welcome to the Stories podcast today. She's an amazing guest, and we really hit it off on our little post-podcast chit-chat. Her name is Suzy Wood, and she's an integrative nutrition health coach and owner of True Wellness Within, where she works with women to get control of their lives and health after a divorce. Welcome to the Stories podcast, Suzy. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you so much, Janice. Great to be here.
Suzy, and this is the beauty of live podcasting, and there goes the phone. Yikes, it happens. We just roll it. Suzy, when we get married, of course, we never expect that we will go through a divorce. And I've been divorced. I'm on my second marriage. My first marriage, actually, our family had a wedding weekend because my cousin actually got married the day before I did. I got married the next day. And at that point in time, I think it was 50%. Well, there's the 50%. I got divorced. My cousin is still married, lovely couple. We don't expect that. And yet we find ourselves sometimes in this situation, and really it can wreak havoc on your overall wellness.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I mean, nobody signs up for a marriage thinking that it's going to end in divorce. Obviously, it's very sad. It's very traumatic. I like to say that people's marriages didn't fail, but they just reached their expiration date. And it's just, that's the time that it ended. And we don't have to beat ourselves up about it because, there's so much negative self-talk, and that really isn't very helpful. So the relationship just reached its expiration date. That's all it was meant to be. And it gives us a very different perspective that we can then move on and still lead a wonderful life. Just because we're divorced, that doesn't mean it has to define us. And we have every right, we all deserve to live a happy life. And our exes also do as well. So there's definitely, there's a future that can happen. And, I help newly single people navigate their future.
And I think that's really key there. And I love how you describe that. Your marriage didn't fail. It just reached its expiration date. And it certainly does not define us. However, the muck part, I think, especially for women, and I know for me it was, and I'm slightly a little older. I was divorced in my early 40s. But sometimes the muck is where we have to put on our boots, so to speak, because I don't think we give ourselves enough credit when we are going through such an emotional roller coaster as divorce often does for a lot of people. But there is a healthy life after divorce.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, everybody deserves to live a healthy and happy life after that. We need to look at areas in our lives that are going well, and then also look at areas in our lives that are not going well. And the whole idea of integrative nutrition, because it's not, a lot of people are like, well, I don't understand in nutrition and divorce, like how is that connected? But integrative nutrition is really all about looking at the lifestyle factors as well as the foods that we eat in order to live a healthy life. So the integrative part of the lifestyle factors, there's basically 12 key lifestyle factors that need to be in balance so that we can then make better food choices. And so there are areas like our social life, relationships, career, education, physical activity, home environment, home cooking, joy. those are lifestyle factors that if any of those are not working well, like you can imagine, if you're not happy in your job, that's going to lead to a lot of stress. And that stress is going to make us have bad food choices. And when you're going through divorce, it is really critical to take care of yourself and have that self-care and make sure that you're trying to, do activities that are going to reduce the stress in other parts of your life, because obviously going through divorce is so stressful. It's actually the number 2 most stressful event that anybody can go through after the death of a spouse. So that's significant, and stress can really wreak havoc on our health. It can lead to chronic illnesses. Obviously, cortisol levels rise. There's a whole host of implications that happen, when you have very high, steady, chronically high cortisol levels. It really plays very badly on your health. It can affect your sleep. And then when you're not sleeping well, you don't have a lot of motivation to move your body. You can't really think clearly. So there goes that brain fog. Cortisol also increases inflammation in the body, and it throws hormones off. So your insulin could be off. Certainly your melatonin is off. It goes back to the sleep. So we look at lifestyle factors and we try to balance them as best as we can. And this is what I work with my clients. And right at the beginning, when I start working with them, we look at those lifestyle factors to try to see what's working and what isn't working. And then we set goals for ourselves. And then we combine it with the nutritional education to try to lead a healthy life. And, when you're going through divorce, you just need to do whatever you can to try to reduce the stress. So there's a lot of techniques and tips that I offer my clients to try to do that so that they, can reduce stress. They can also build their confidence back because it takes such a big knock when you're going through divorce or, post-divorce. Build their energy back up because, again, it just zaps everything out of you.
It certainly does. And, finding that balance factor is really a journey, I believe, within itself. And I know for me, it kind of took a very long time. Not only was I getting divorced, but I was moving from Florida back to Connecticut. So add with that, and back to the cortisol levels, because I hear this a lot lately, of course, being a health coach myself, and with my other podcasts with my sister, Two Sisters, our health and wellness podcast. Cortisol, is the foundation. I almost think of it as, I know this is kind of a weird analogy, but getting a shot. Like that cortisol level, sometimes you can really just feel it going through your veins, and you're stressed out, and you're trying to juggle all of these things. And that's why, as you pointed out, those key life factors are so important, because if you are not well within, everything outside, under I look at it as an umbrella too. Everything under that umbrella or outside of the umbrella is just you might as well just throw spaghetti out the refrigerator.
Yeah.
Not that I've ever done that.
Right. Well, I mean, when cortisol levels are high, there are definitely things that we can do to try to mitigate that. So it's really about finding that balance between our fight and flight mode and our rest and digest. So fight and flight mode is when we're rushing around, you're literally trying to get the tiger is chasing you type of thing. Your eyes dilate, all the energy goes into your muscles so that you can, get out of there, get out of danger. And when we live at that heightened state all the time, we can, that's where the cortisol levels are just so high, and it can lead to health problems. So we try to reduce that, and we get into the rest and digest mode, because when we're in that fight and flight mode, your body is not worried about growing its hair or nails or digesting that sandwich that you ate for lunch. No, all of that stuff freezes and just goes to getting through the day. You have appointments with your lawyers, you're fighting with your ex, you have to move, you have to downsize, all of that stuff just keeps us in this fight or flight mode. And that's not healthy for us. So we do the opposite. We try to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest. And that's when your body is under more of a calm state, and you can actually digest the foods that you eat. You can detoxify your body. We obviously, here we are sitting here with all this smoke,
Right.
smog, that's all around us. Like, there are toxins all around us that we can't really control. So we have to do the best we can, and we live our lives to have, sort of as low of a toxic environment as possible. And when you're in rest and digest phase, then you can properly detoxify and you can relax and rest, and usually your sleep gets more under control. So again, it's about finding techniques that you can do to activate that parasympathetic nervous system. So it's things like deep breathing, box breathing is another technique, maybe gentle yoga, whatever relaxes you. Sometimes it's a little bit even slightly more active, maybe just going for a walk, socializing with friends, things like that, that just can activate a little bit more calmness in our lives. So those are just some techniques that help.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And, certainly I can recall those times where, especially when, by the time I made it back to Connecticut, and sitting in my room and just like sitting there and breathing and allowing my brain to relax.
Yeah.
Allowing myself to feel what I felt I needed to feel and process. I think women by nature are like, we process so much information, and we want the results even quicker.
Yeah, I mean, I think women and men also, they go through a similar phase when they're going through divorce. It's very traumatic. We didn't really sign up for this. We're sort of mourning the loss of a relationship that we had, mourning the loss of a future that we thought we were going to be having. And that takes a lot of time to process. I do always recommend that people see a therapist if they can, because it really helps emotionally just to have that third party person take you through the steps of, really grieving the loss of that relationship, and helping to process that. And when people are ready to put their lives back together, I mean, that's how I can work with them, again, balancing the lifestyle factors, moving forward, as they navigate their life as a newly single person, and just building their confidence back up. We all deserve to lead a happy life. And, I work with them on how to feed their body in the best possible way, how to live healthy lives. And again, as a health coach, it's not my job to tell people what to do. I don't have a laundry list of things like, do these 10 things and your life is going to be perfect. Nobody wants to be told what to do, right? It has to come from within, which is really why I named my company True Wellness Within, because all of that healing has to come from inside. It's not about me telling them what they should and shouldn't do. So I work with my clients on setting appropriate goals so that it can move them forward. And they're realistic goals. They're strategic and they're attainable and they're realistic, so that they can actually achieve those goals and then feel good about them. We take very, very small baby steps as we move forward. So I usually work with clients over about 5 months. And right at the beginning, we set 1 month goals, 3 month goals, and 5 month goals. And then over the course of the sessions I have with them, we chip away at those goals and really taking baby steps, because that's where the transformation is going to happen. If we just jump, too far forward, we're going to have that sense of failure. And then that's where the negative self-talk comes in. And we beat ourselves up because we didn't do the thing, and we didn't push ourselves, and we didn't have willpower or whatever. We're so good at talking so poorly about ourselves, right? And so we get out of that mode. So we take these smaller steps that are much more achievable, and then we congratulate ourselves for doing them. And so it really moves people forward towards their goals, and everybody's goals are different. So I do one-on-one coaching because everybody's situation is different, right? So it's just a program that's tailored to their specific needs, so that they can move on. They can have the next best chapter of their lives.
And I think that is so crucial, because you mentioned the internal chatter, or I took it to mean that.
Yep.
When you're having those conversations, oh, maybe if I did this better, or if I did that. But when you're working at chipping away at your goals, like to get to that destination point, another thing that I didn't realize, and this was several years ago, was the habit part of it. for instance, if I wake up every morning at 5 a.m. just to have my me time, that works for me, but it may not work for something else. That's a habit for me, so I can reach my goals for the day.
Yeah.
And it takes a while sometimes to be disciplined, to have very specific goals, whatever they may be. And I think it's working toward those goals, as you mentioned, to take those baby steps
Mhm.
to get there, because then you are creating your foundation, and you will continue to do that habit to reach your goal. And then once you reach
Yeah.
your goal, you're supporting your goal.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's lifestyle changes. So it's not just, I mean, like if you use the food analogy, it's not just going on a diet so that you can wear the bathing suit this summer. I mean, if that's your goal, then okay, that's fine. But like, is that really how you want to live your life going forward? Like, what steps are you going to put into place so that you can live a healthy life going forward for the next, 20, 30, 40 years, whatever it might be? I do outside teaching, besides like talking about divorce, I teach nutrition classes at community centers and community colleges, and we focus on building that healthy lifestyle so that it is something for our entire future. It's not just here and now for, why diets don't work really, because they're just so short term. And the wellness industry really has not done us any favors at all, because it's always like, buy the shake or buy the special food, and you have to count this and you have to measure that. And we just need to break it down into something that's just much more simple and much more livable, manageable in our lives. So, I don't recommend that my clients follow any specific diet other than eating wholesome, healthy foods that you can understand. You can read the ingredients, you can pronounce all the names of the foods that you're eating. When you have this chemical, mishmash of ingredients, that actually also plays on our mood. So the foods we eat affect our moods, but the moods we're in also affect our foods. And so when I teach those courses, we really dig into that, how the foods that we eat, how does that affect how we're feeling, how certain ingredients play into our hunger hormones, right? Because certain ingredients might interrupt that signal that your body is, your stomach is full. And if we don't get that signal, then we keep eating. And so it's really important to learn which ingredients are doing that and playing with our mind. So, so that's something that's really critical when we look at it from, food perspective. So.
I have to
Yeah.
tell you, and I may have shared this with you before. I personally hate the word diet. Because we do diet every day, but the word diet for me, that word means so many different failures.
Yes, for many people, exactly. It's like already has this negative connotation, right? And so I don't use the word diet either. It's just we look at our plates, we try to make them as healthy as possible. It's lots of fruits and vegetables, eating a rainbow, having good quality lean protein, healthy fats, good quality complex carbohydrates. And again, if you can pronounce the foods that you're eating, chicken is chicken, right? Chicken pot pie is not chicken, right? And so we have to really think about, how are we feeding? How are we nourishing our body? It's the best form of self-care. What kind of foods are you putting in your body, right? So, that is really critical.
I just took out chicken for dinner, and I'm just not sure what I'm going to do with it just yet.
Well, I'm glad that it's real chicken, not, some processed whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, eating as healthy and possible as we can. I was at a wedding this weekend, and I took home a cupcake. And I did not feel good. No, normally the old Janice would have been, oh my God, I can't take this. I can't eat it. And then that would start that negative chatter, internal dialogue. And I ate it over a course of 2 days. I just cut it in half. I'm like, okay, well, here I am. It was delicious.
Yeah. I mean, I like to say there isn't any bad food. It's just, what's your relationship with that food? I mean, if you took home a cupcake and all your other meals that you've been having are healthy, well-balanced, full of fruits and vegetables and healthy fats, as I said, good complex carbohydrates, you can have a cupcake. If your other meals are, fast food and, fried this and that you've picked up through the takeout, then maybe that cupcake isn't great. So it all depends on what else you're doing in your life. How's your sleep? How you're moving your body? What else are you feeding yourself? So it's not that any one food is bad. It's just what's your relationship with that food? And you can also say the same for alcohol. Alcohol isn't necessarily bad. I mean, it's not great for us, but I mean, having a drink here and there isn't terrible. But what's your relationship with alcohol, right? Same for caffeine. What's your relationship with caffeine? Are you dependent on it to get up and actually get things done? Or do you just happen to like to have a cup of coffee? Right? I mean, if you're really dependent on it to get going, then we need to dig a little bit deeper. Why is it that you have to have that coffee to start your day? Are you not getting enough sleep? Are you eating the wrong foods? Is there something else that's going on in your life that's causing you to have a lot of stress that you're just not motivated to get out of bed? Right? So like we need to take that step back. And that's what I work with my clients. That's why we actually talk about in the integrative nutrition world, your lifestyle factors are actually your primary foods. The food on your plate is your secondary foods. We've got to figure out, why are you relying on coffee to get you up and going? Right?
Yes. And
Things.
I had to put my hand over my mouth because I was snickering at myself because I love coffee. I love to drink it every day, sometimes twice a day, but I went from 6 to 8 cups, which is way too much.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Down to 1 or 2. And
wow.
I had that jingle in my head. I love my coffee. I love to drink it every day. Yes, I know I shouldn't quit my day job. I digress a little bit. I also want to segue over just a moment to welcome everyone currently on the Wisdom Audio app. Thank you so much for being here today. I see some familiar names. Thank you. Thank you. Excuse me. Suzy, when you started your journey, here you are today in this moment, when you look back at your journey, what is one thing or maybe 2 things that stick out to you like, oh, wow, now I get it?
Oh my goodness. I mean, my world was so different just a few years ago. I've been divorced not even 4 years, and I never ever thought that I would be able to be living a happy life post-divorce. I was really scared to go through my divorce, like many people. How was I going to support myself? How are my kids going to be? There were so many questions. Where was I going to live? What kind of career would I be having? Because I had part-time jobs for a while I was raising my kids. And before that, I had a career in high-tech marketing, but all of that was changing. I also lived abroad for 11 years. So I had come back to the United States. And I mean, it was like literally my whole world was exploding. And it was very, very scary. And so, again, step by step, I sort of saw the light, like, okay, I got divorced, I re-educated, started a whole new career, launched a company, and now I'm helping other people. And I mean, it's so rewarding. And I feel like I'm definitely living my best life. I'm also in a wonderful new relationship, like you, start over. And when you feel confident, you're then able to meet other people. And really, if that's what you want. I mean, not everybody wants to meet somebody else. But for me, it's like start a new career and move and be in a new relationship. And it's all been fantastic.
That is wonderful. And I really want to point something out to you. As you were describing that, you're just like, you are taking it in and owning it and just like you lit up like a Christmas tree. Suzy, are you there? I think we may have lost the connection with Suzy.
Hi. Oh, I don't know what
There
happened
you
there. I think
are.
it's the storms coming through.
Yeah, that could be another whoosh of the smoke coming through.
Yes.
Suzy, how can our viewers and listeners connect with you further? Suzy, where did she go?
I don't know if you can still hear me.
Yes, I
just shut
can
my
hear you.
video off. Oh, okay. I just shut my video off just
That's
because
fine.
of the internet. So people can find me on my website, which is truewellnesswithin.com.
Mhm.
Or they can send me an email, Suzy, SUZY, at truewellnesswithin.com. I also, if anybody actually is going through divorce or coming out of divorce, I have a quiz on my website that's have you healed from the stress of your divorce? And it might be interesting for people to do that and just see where they rank. They can find that at truewellnesswithin.com/divorced, and that's with a D at the end. And if anybody wants to reach out, I'm also on Instagram. I have a lot more food ideas on Instagram. I also have a free Facebook group that's called the Divorce Detox with True Wellness Within. And that's a great place for people to come together in community. Everyone's basically going through or has been through divorce. And we offer a lot of support and kinship in there. And I also run free monthly support groups called the Divorce Detox Support Calls. And you find that information through the Facebook group. It's usually the beginning of the month on a Saturday at 10 a.m. And the next one is actually this Saturday, June 10th. But anybody can look at the schedule and join us online. It's just open to everybody.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that information. Of course, I will make sure all that is in the show notes. Wow,
Great.
this has been such an amazing conversation with you, Suzy. I am
Thank you.
so grateful for the opportunity to share your story and shed light on where you are today, because truly these are the stories that inspire us. Thank you so much, Suzy.
Thank you so much, Janice. This has been great.
Wonderful. Yes, it certainly has. Your story matters. And if you have a story to share, I want to encourage you to please contact me. I would love to feature you on this podcast. It does matter. My name is Janice Melillo, the host of Stories That Inspire Us. Today, inspired by this amazing woman, Suzy Wood. Thank you so much, and we shall see you again very soon. Bye for now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.